Hello.
Uber bosses are a great new addition in Season 2 of Diablo 4. They each have a set of unique drops, making it easier to finish your build, and if you're killing Duriel, well, you have a shot at getting some Uber uniques. However, to get to those Uber bosses, you're gonna need to summon them. This is a guide on how to farm the summoning mats and get your sweet fists on those sweet bosses, and, their loot. Let's first talk about Lord Zir. His summoning item is Exquisite Blood. You can gather this by finishing world bosses and legion events, of which there are many because they up their frequency. Once you have 9 Exquisite Blood, come on over to the Darkened Way and get to that ancient seat. It's a bit of a ways in, but you don't have to worry because nothing there can really harm you if you're at the appropriate level. Once inside, walk on over to the Apotheosis area and deposit your Exquisite Blood. Again, you will need 9 of them. And Lord Zir will come out, fresh from a bloodbath, ready for the bloodbath you're gonna give him. The good news is he's hard capped at level 80, so you're not gonna have a lot of trouble with him, especially since it's so easy to get to level 80. Fighting him while underleveled isn't exactly a chore either. His attacks are very simple, highly telegraphed, just stay away from the bad areas. Sometimes he's gonna feel a little lonely and he's gonna summon a few Seekers, none of which are particularly gonna be a problem unless they stun lock you, which is then a problem. Just watch out for the floor and eventually you will bust open the blood pinata and feast on his sweet loot. Speaking of which, I'm not gonna read that out. You can simply pause the video or look up a site. Next, we're going to be talking about the Beast in the Ice. To get his Distilled Fear, of which you require 9, you need to collect it from finishing tier 30 or higher Nightmare dungeons. Although bad news is, Distilled Fear drops are not guaranteed. You're going to have to grind out those Nightmare dungeons, which is good because you probably want to do that to level up your Paragon Glyphs as well. And aside, they also do not drop on the floor, so you'll need to manually check your inventory and see if you actually got enough, or even got a drop at all. Now, once you have 9 Distilled Fears, go to your friendly neighborhood occultist and craft the Glacial Fissure Nightmare dungeon. Pop it, head to the dungeon, and just go through it. It can be very long, sometimes very short, but you'll eventually find yourself at the Beasts in the Ice, who is, well, he's got a lot of ice. So, bring your cold resistance and you're unstoppable so you don't get frozen and CC'd into oblivion. He is a reskinned oppressor, I think, which is fine. Doesn't hurt a lot. The most annoying thing about the Beast in the Ice is that he has two mandatory immunity phases, which is just gonna slow down your farm. His ground effects are also highly telegraphed, so if you got even a little bit of unstoppable in ya or come in packing with a full bag of common sense, I think you will do fine. Here are the Beast in the Ice's drops. Not particularly impressive for barbarians, but, other classes may find it more interesting. The next two guys we're going to be discussing are a bit more interesting because the drops from the following 2 Uber bosses combine to allow you to summon the top dog himself, Duriel. First, let's talk about our good friend Varshan from Season 1. First, you're going to want to fill up your Whispers of the Dead and head on over to that Tree of Whispers. Do the Gambit Fin and dunk in your Whispers. Get whatever reward you get. When you open it, you are gonna get 1 of 4 pieces, and that's the terrible part. Those are gonna be the Blackened Femur, the Gurgling Head, the Malignant Heart, and the Trembling Hand. If you're lucky, you're gonna get more than 1 piece. Well, that's the game. The good news is if you are bereft of a piece, RNGesus doesn't like you, well, there's an alternative. Go to your friendly little occultist and go ahead and craft that summoning item. But if you're lucky enough to get 4, go ahead and jump into that hole right beside the Tree of Whispers. Go through the mini dungeon and dunk your your body parts into the altar. Summon the Varshan. Destroy the Varshan. Can be a bit of a pain because, well, while he is level 75, his attacks hurt. I don't know why they do. They just do, so watch yourself. But beware of the ground attacks and eventually you will take him down. Here is his loot pool. As an aside, it is from him that I got my first Gore's Devastating Grips, which is great because that's the first time I've gotten them ever. But that's not all. He's also gonna drop an egg. This is one of 2 items you need to summon Uber Duriel. You will need 2 of these items. The other one comes from another guy. His name is Grigoire and he's big on lightning. Now, summoning Grigoire will require you to go to the good old place that is the Helltide and farm yourself some living steel. You're gonna need 5 of them. Good news is very easy to farm. The bad news is they're gonna require 300 Helltide bucks to farm them. Back on good news, every time you farm them, you get 3 pieces instead of 1, making the whole process much less annoying. First, you're gonna want to go into Helltide, connect 300 Helltide bucks, and then find this guy. He's surrounded by, cultists, and he's guarding a chest. The tortured gift of living steel, very dramatic and very nice. Go ahead and destroy everything around you before going on to deposit. Once you deposit, it's gonna spit out 3 of the living steels as well as a bunch of mats as well as a few potions. Once you got that out of the way, go over to under Ked Bardu and zoom in on the map and check out the Hall of the Penitent. That's where you're gonna want to go when you have at least 5 living steels. Once there, just progress through the dungeon. You know the drill by now. Find a place to dump your living steel and summon Grigoire. Grigoire? I don't know how to pronounce his name. Anyway, he has the best entrance of all the bosses. He's pretty cool. Just stack up on lightning and he's barely gonna tickle you. Also, he's capped at level 75, so you barely have anything to worry about. With enough resistances in life, you can probably just face tank him, but you can dodge him like any other giant paladin soldier guy that you've ever fought. Like the other Uber bosses, when he's a bit lonely, he's gonna summon himself a few friends. He's also gonna put up these lightning fences. You cannot walk past them, but you can evade through them, which is a hassle, I imagine, if you're not prepared. Personally, I think he's the coolest Uber boss. The Galvanic Saint is such a metal title to have. By the way, here's his drop pool. As an aside, I love that Butcher's Cleaver can drop for Barbarian and Druid. It's my favorite item. It's silly, but it is. Once you're done with him and ruin the Galvanic Saint's day, you will also get a Shard of Agony. You will need 2 of these along with 2 of the egg to summon the big guy himself, Uber Duriel. You will find Duriel's house southeast of Geakul in the Gaping Crevasse. It is level 100 and so is Uber Duriel, so you gotta brace yourself or you're gonna get your stuff kicked in. That's Duriel, by the way. He's very dirty. And as the image indicates, don't forget to bring a lot of poison resist. Drink a poison resist potion, but I don't find that it helps too much. I guess you're just gonna have to play smart or have something that reduces damage over time effects. I believe Rogue has it. Once you're done preparing, head on over to the Gaping Crevasse and go handle Duriel after dunking some eggs and some shards into his altar. The Duriel fight has taught me several things. 1. If you die in any of the Uber boss fights, you don't lose out on the opportunity to kill them. You can always walk back in and try again. Ask me how I know. If your build isn't great at handling single targets, you're gonna have trouble with Duriel. He is actually kind of tough and poison stacks so aggressively that you might die before you can heal out of it. Gangs of Duriel you saw at the start, don't kill them both. I believe if you leave one alive, he'll just keep summoning one throughout his entire boss fight. If you kill them both, he'll summon them both, and that's kind of a pain. So settle for killing one of them and leaving one alive as you see them spawn. He has a number of terrifying attacks such as charging and stunning you, grabbing you and eating you, and summoning maggots from the sky to crush you. None of it is particularly fun, but I do like the boss fight. If at all possible, switch to a build that is great with single target. Whirlwind, while it doesn't exactly suffer against single target, it is not the best. Going into him with my stagger double swing build was a lot easier on the soul, while running Whirlwind against him was a bit of a nail biter. But keep at it, play careful, and eventually you're gonna get them. Now celebrate with the fruits of your labor, which hopefully involve an Uber unique that you like Harlequin Crest. He has an expansive list of possible drops, so do not worry if you don't get what you want. Just go ahead and hunt him down over and over again. As a side note, he also carries all the new uniques. While you can find them elsewhere, he's the most efficient source for those new uniques. So that's it. That's the guide. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's useful to you. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on twitch.tv/PatinatorTV so you don't miss a dang thing. Also because it'll help me out a lot. Questions, don't forget to ask them in the comments below. I will get back to you as soon as I can. I am Patinator and I will see you later.